First and foremost, thank you very much to the CK for the invitation, and also to IoT SGs, right? Sistema is an IoT SGs, and all things connected. We are the good ecosystem partners, and we're very privileged to be sharing some of our experiences in this particular area. Today, my sharing is going to be a bit focused on the smart buildings and facility management. I am Edward Tay. I'm the CEO for Sistema Asia Capital. For today's session, we'll be sharing a bit of use cases that we are increasingly seeing in the marketplace. So some of these are not really all brand new, but what we are seeing is we are seeing large-scale implementation taking place across the globe itself. And there's a few the things that are driving some of these changes. So one of these naturally is the current pandemic that right now we are facing. So we see a lot of movements towards touchless interactions. I think the previous speaker, Stevens, have shared quite a fair bit on that itself, and that is really very good. Yep. And also another one that is also going to be underpinning some of these changes and dynamics is actually in the forms of the artificial intelligence and cloud technologies. So many of these is going to be the foundations moving forward, whereby cities and buildings have been digitized and so-called being smart. And all these dynamics is going to be affecting how we plan and how we operate some of these buildings and some of these facility managements. And we will continue to do so for a very long time. And we are very excited for the opportunity that it presents. So perhaps before we begin, I would like to share a little bit more of us, who we are as investment funds, and our involvement in the smart city development. Sistema is one of the 20th largest listed companies in the Forbes Global 2000s. We are a major private investment group, and we are one of the largest contributor to the Russian GDP. To date, we have assets in telecommunications, data centers, real estates, pharmaceuticals, e-commerce, and many sectors across the sectors of the Russian economies. So we have many experiences in facility management, as building owners, in infrastructures, and then also we own many buildings and facilities, and also industrial parks. So these are some of the experiences that we have gleaned from our the holdings and also our operations of such facilities. So about a decade ago, we started to invest heavily into technologies, and we started to integrate many of the smart and digital solutions into our businesses. And so right now, we also run multiple venture capital funds across the globe, and we have a particular focus on smart city technology, given our strong real estate experiences. Sistema Asia Capital is our Asian investment arm that is based out from Singapore and one of the leading smart cities in the region. Here, we work with various governments, networks, and we invest heavily in the technology. It helps us speed up the digitizations of the economies in Asia. And we also see huge opportunities in these particular segments, whereby Asia is the home to most number of mega cities in the world, with the fastest urbanization rates. And smart cities and smart buildings technologies are no longer a fad, but an absolute necessity. So the rapid adoptions of certain technologies to becoming smart and sustainable, right? One of the key areas that I'd like to share is actually clouds. So the adoption of clouds over the last 5 years or so have accelerated many use cases for smart buildings and smart cities. And there's fundamental layers where many of these digital and smart solutions sits on. Clouds has allowed a very optimized constructions of buildings. It has helped to reduce the energy and resource use. It has helped to increase the safety and also help to increase the security of such buildings and cities. It has also connected buildings to buildings and cities to cities more than ever before, and henceforth brought forth a whole lot of automation of operations right up to the next level. And because of this, because of time, I will not really go much into technical details, but I would like to share some of these use cases. So the planning of smart buildings will have to be taken from a holistic perspective, from top down. So when we look at smart buildings, we actually looked at smart cities, which is an aggregation of a lot of smart buildings. And the planning of such buildings and cities is an absolute start point, whereby technologies has already started, if not already influenced many of such decisions. And we are starting to see many of the designs and planning processes, and some of the things that I've shown over there, that is powered by machine learning, right, and artificial intelligence on the clouds. So thousands and thousands of images, for example, and the blueprints can right now be analyzed from some of the past data that we have gleaned from the commercial buildings and the residential buildings to create a much more efficient designs. So some of this has also gone into the things that our previous speakers, Stephen, had talked about, the smart people movements. Yep. So some of these solutions have also allowed architects and civil engineers to create designs that is actually sometimes not very natural for us humans to conceptualize. And such designs ultimately will result in space maximizations, reductions of energies, and a better material size, as well as a reduced building materials consumptions. And all this will bode very well for our mother Earth. And the use of technologies and artificial intelligence in clouds and on sites, and also many of these IoTs devices, such as motion and proximity controls, a lot of mobile devices, apps, for instance, and also the use of a lot of facial recognitions and computer visions have greatly increased the safety of the workplaces. And so what we have over here as part of a safer workplace is we have computer vision softwares. They help to identify personnel with improper PPEs, such as helmets, vests, and boots. And in some cases, we are able to pinpoint the identity of the personnel against a database of workers to alert of illegal entries and violations of the safety guidelines. Yes. All these that Stephen have in his previous mention has also mentioned about that itself. And all these practices like this have dramatically helped to improve the reinforcement of safety and regulations, especially in hazardous environments. And we cannot be talking about sustainability or smart buildings without talking about energy optimizations. So how do we actually drive a higher energy efficiencies? Right. So the one takeaway from us is we see the increased use of artificial intelligence right now to help to optimize energy consumptions in the buildings. This will increasingly become more and more common. Yeah. So, for instance, from a lot of guidelines, such as from ASROs and brochures, we see that air conditioning and heating are major energy factors in our urban areas. And in many cases, using AIs and MLs and optimization technologies and softwares, we can help to decrease some of this energy consumption by up to 30%. And over here, in the slides, we have two cloud systems that are integrated with the BMS, building management systems, and as well as the smart meters. They help to provide a real-time 24/7 optimization of energy settings. And beyond this, there are also many things that actually already we have been doing in the past, but I think increasingly in this pandemics and COVID-19 worlds, such as using bipolar ionization, such as using portable HEPA grid filters. These are all the things that we have been rolling out and constantly looking at better ways of doing so on the large scales. from our experience, and we're looking to help to develop and promote some of these solutions with Asian real estate developers and property managers moving forward. And also, one of the very key takeaway that we have was, amidst all these concerns, data privacy and sharing of data between different stakeholders within the smart buildings and the facilities, and also the way that we segment and compartmentalize our data have become ever more important. Here is a data sharing architect service that is provided by the company that we are working with. It is a secure multi-party computational, or SMPC. So structure like this helps to provide a secure and granular sharing of real-time data between a network of public and private and the local state authorities. As it is right now, we had a huge dependency, as many of us have experienced over working in the circuit breakers or lockdown periods, wherever you are. We have a huge dependencies on data, as well as, of course, electrical grid, because without power, there's no digitization to mention with. And without data, right, there is no efficiency to talk with. So there's a high dependencies right now on both data and electric grid. And so a structure like this, that can help to provide a very safe and granular sharing between the real-time data is ultra important moving forward. And I think this is also very important for healthcare, for security, for telecoms operators, as well as any of the organizations that deal with highly sensitive data. And only with technology like this can we also safely scale our data operations to a next level. So how do we actually promote a leaner city management? Yes. I think the issue that we already see is as the smart buildings scales expanded, right? As all the cities expanded, as we increase the rate of urbanizations, we need technology to help us. And one of the technologies that we feel that is very key is actually in terms of clouds. We see that clouds have allowed a unified database for many of the city control systems that you guys as property managers or architects or civil engineers are really using. And such control systems are pulling in from multiple data sources into a single command center. Naturally, there's a lot of regulatory issues, a lot of coordination issues, there's even a lot of data segmentation issues. But these are issues that we need to overcome in order to move up to the next stage, in order to drive a leaner city management. Yes. Up and above that itself, we are also starting to witness much more automations in terms of footage processing and abnormality detections, allowing for 24/7 operations with a much lower manpower requirements. And this will allow a lesser manpower to manage a greater coverage of the cities and the smart cities by increasing the screen to personnel ratio by at least a magnitude of 10. So for instance, like in places like in Singapore, right, drones will very soon be a mainstream to carry out building inspections and maintenance. So facility managers have to be aware that this is already coming, if not already here. Yeah, in Singapore, we have thousands and thousands of high-rise buildings in the cities, and that requires regular inspections. In the past, this is a very, very tedious process. It requires a lot of labor-intensive methods. But right now, it is made a lot more easier. So the facade data can right now be streamed from autonomous drones, such as the one that you are seeing in the slides, by either the LTEs or 5Gs. 5Gs will be available somewhere in the mid next year in Singapore to the clouds for processing. And this allows for immediate defect detection for even the skyscraper that is very, very high And as you can see, such use cases are going to be more and more mainstream in the coming year. And the momentum for the smart buildings and smart cities technology will not slow down. And we are starting to see many of the focus whereby things that we've been doing in the past, for example, like video analytics, which we are doing for intrusion protections and surveillance analytics, these are increasingly being used to help to enhance our safe management processes, and especially so right now because of the ongoing pandemics. And unfortunately, due to time, we will not be able to dive much into most of these solutions, but I'd like to leave you guys with one thing today. 1/3 of the humanity will live in Asian cities by 2030. 1/3 of the humanities will live in Asian cities by 2030. And so smart buildings and sustainability will become a necessary evolution for all of us living in our urban spaces. Thank you very much.